The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Celtics Talk After Dark, coming to you after the Boston Celtics wrap up their four-game road trip with a 118-106 triumph over the Denver Nuggets. 3-1 road trip. Now, they did the only trip up there, the crown jewel of the trip against Oklahoma City. Really only one bad half on this trip. I think the Celtics will come home feeling pretty good about themselves. But tonight, no Nikola Jokic, no Derek White, illness ravaging both sides of this game. But the Celtics get a pretty good team effort. A lot of guys chipping in on this one. I mean, Tatum, just as usual, steadiness, 29.6 assists, 4 rebounds. Jaylen Brown got going after a scoreless first half, finishes with 14, 8, and 8. But the guy I want to focus on today's late night pod is Kristaps Porzingis, who was just phenomenal in this game. Really set the tone out of the gates. I think 15 first quarter points, on his way to 25 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block, plus 14 over 34 minutes. The main thing is, like, Kristaps really started to look like himself again tonight, and I hope we'll have Abby's post-game interview as part of this podcast, because he even admits it when she asks him. He had expressed some frustration coming back, the starts and stops, with a couple little ankle flare-ups since coming back from surgery. Hasn't quite looked himself out there, or at least maybe fighting himself a little bit coming back from these little maladies. But tonight, as close to full health KP as we've seen, active on both ends, really active around the basket with his scoring. A couple plays jump to mind immediately is, Tatum has this block on Christian Brown on one end, goes out the other way, throws up an alley-oop to Porzingis. The complete opposite of what we saw in OKC, where Tatum gets blocked by SGA and goes the other way, and Hartenstein's on the rim. Porzingis was just really good here, and I just think it's so vital to what this team wants to accomplish. It's no surprise that on the night that Porzingis most looks like himself, Celtics go for 60 points in the paint, their highest of the season. Now, look, Jokic wasn't out there. Not that he's going to change things too much defensively, but he's still a presence there, and it makes it a little easier when, no him, no Aaron Gordon, opens up the middle a little bit for the Celtics. And yet, I think we know, especially on nights where the Celtics' three-point shot isn't falling, you need to be able to find other ways to score. Having Porzingis as sort of that option around the basket to lean on post-ups, which I don't even think they've fully utilized this season. It's a reminder of how the Celtics can go to another level and can find alternate ways to win games when 3 points not falling. Only 34.3% beyond the 3-point arc, but 45 of their 88 attempts come in the paint. I'm gonna have to go through the numbers. Don't think that's it's above average for this team in terms of the split. When any night that the Celtics take 50% of their shots inside of the 3-point arc is pretty impressive night. But like, to get 50% of those in the paint is certainly a departure from the norm. Feels like everybody had a hand in this one. Like I said, Tatum was pretty steady throughout. Couldn't get the 3-point shot falling, only 1 of 9 beyond the arc, but everything else inside of it. So he would have been 10 of 14 inside the 3-point arc. Got the 6 assists. As usual, I'll be interested to see what the potential assist number is. We made a big deal of it after the Oklahoma City game, 15 potential assists, but only 1 actual assist. Definitely felt like he probably could have had a couple more tonight too, but 2 blocks, steal, plus 23, which I believe is best on the team. Yep, no surprise there. Tatum just continues to make good things happen. But Drew Holiday, he was our Tommy Award winner in the postgame show, 6 of 12. The number with him now is, I believe, 47-2 whenever he scores at least 14 points for the Celtics. Gets 19 tonight, 3 threes, 7 assists. Like I said, it just felt like Celtics wanted to finish this trip strong after they were so good in Minnesota. They were so good in keeping the momentum going in Houston. And they were really good at the start of that OKC game. You can make the case that 3.5 out of the 4 halves that they played in this trip were really darn good. And tonight was a little bit frustrating because an undermanned Denver team managed to hang around until the fourth quarter when the Celtics ripped it open with a 15-0 run. But in general, really encouraging trip for the Celtics. It was Porzingis, to bring this full circle, who had talked about before the team went out on the road, how that guys had huddled, sort of maybe took inventory of a disappointing December, and really wanted this to be a statement trip. That statement went the wrong way when they stumbled against OKC, but a good response here, and we'll see what happens as they come back home and whether they can kind of keep some momentum going with this little flurry of home games before they have to head back out west. This was a Western Conference trip, but they got the West Coast trip coming out, taking them out to LA, and a couple stops along the way there. Only other thing I should point out before we kick it over to the rest of our postgame show is that Pritchard struggled again, 1 of 6, maybe a little bit of a dip here for him. Rough night in Oklahoma City, couldn't quite get shots to fall tonight. Did have 4 assists, but it's interesting. Sam Hauser got it going, made 3 threes. Nimi Keita had some good minutes off the bench. Celtics have feels like, especially on a night when you don't have Derek White, needed a little bit of a bench boost. They got it from everyone probably but Pritchard, with good minutes from everybody else in the 9 that played. Eager to see how that shakes itself out when the Celtics are back at full health. The starting lineup, I think we ran a little graphic. Abby had the hit in the game. Starters have not played well to this point. The preferred starters with non-double big, with KP out there, with Drew, Derek, Jason, and Jalen. They were dominant last year. For whatever reason, that group in very limited minutes has not been great to start the year. I feel like it's probably a matter of just getting more time, getting more continuity out there, or rekindling the continuity that exists. It would help if this team could stay healthy and get its top 9 out there. Only twice this season has the team had its top 9 healthy. A win over Chicago in November, and then that game against OKC. So trending in the right direction, though. Encouraging trip, 27-10. Like I said, you'd really like to have gotten that OKC game, but this is a little bit of a palate cleanser with the way they played in the fourth quarter. Let's see if they can keep the momentum going. Here's more from our postgame show.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
Team 106, Celtics get the win in Denver. They go 3-1 on the road trip, and it was a game that was tight, about 93 all. Midway through that fourth quarter, and the Celtics kind of separated themselves. Tom Giles, Chris Forsberg, Eddie House here with you, and it was really that 15-0 run. But, Eddie, just your thoughts first on the Celtics able to really impose their will down the stretch there.
It was defensively. They got stops. They got a big block by Porzingis. Coming up with steals, deflection. Al Horford at the end, getting that steal from Russell Westbrook. But I thought our defense ignited our offense. That ignited that 15-0 run. And it is not a surprise to me. And that's what I've been talking about. So 3 out of the 4 quarters, we held them to close because the benchmark is 25 points, right? So 26 in the third, 23 in the fourth. And I just think that's the recipe right there. And I know there was no Jokic, and it might have been a closer game. It could have went either way if Jokic is out there possibly. But the fact of the matter is I like the way that they battened down the hatches in that fourth quarter.
This might have been Porzingis' best game overall. Like I know he's had more points this season, one short of his season high, but it just felt like he was everywhere tonight. The block at the end on DeAndre Jordan to kind of key in the defense. He was all over that 12-0 run, got the tip dunk to start it. Fed, I think, Drew Holiday on a three-pointer right after that. You can see as he gets more comfortable, as that ankle starts to feel better, when he's not getting kicked below the belt, he is thriving out there. And this is such a luxury to have a guy like this. It's a reminder of what the team can get to when KP is playing to his capabilities on both ends. He's just got to get back to feeling himself, and it seems like he's getting closer.
Yeah, his first double-double of the season for Kristaps Porzingis with the 25 points and 11 rebounds in this one, and the one big block, which we'll get a look at coming up a little bit later on. But let's get into that 15-0 run because, again, this game was tied at 93, and as Drew pointed out, like everyone contributed. All 5 starters scored in this run, and it started with Porzingis on the tip dunk and then finding Drew Holiday for a 3. You had Al Horford knocking down a 3, Eddie. It was just team basketball.
Yeah, it was, and it was more than just sitting back and ISO and look at pass, cut. You see guys moving the ball, moving their body. This was nasty right here because excuse me, let me stop and then drop that off for you. You know what I mean? But that was cold right at the end of the shot clock and things like that. But I like the way that we were active. You know, not only defensively, and I think it's all a byproduct. It's a byproduct of how active you are defensively, how active you can be offensively. I thought we cut, we made the right cuts. We set good screens. I thought Luke Cornett did a phenomenal job in the minutes that he had out there. And it just being active, okay? And I looked like in that fourth quarter, I know we were the more active team on both sides of the floor. It started on the defense. Then on the offense, we were cutting, we were getting paint touches, in and out in basketball, taking advantage of any mismatches that we could take advantage of. So I like overall how we played, especially in that second half, but more importantly, in that fourth quarter. I thought that's the brand of basketball we could bring every single night.
And let's not forget, before the 15-0 run, this game was annoying. The Nuggets were hanging in there. They just wouldn't go away, even without Jokic. Give them credit for the way they brought it. You know, this is usually the way it goes for the Celtics. They got to scrap a little bit when the superstars are missing on the other side. But credit, like as frustrating as it was with the Nuggets hanging around, man, the Celtics really imposed their will on that stretch. Finished this trip, and you kind of feel good. Like, I know the crown jewel was that OKC game, and you don't get that win, but man, coming home 3-1 and playing essentially just one bad half over 4 games is a really good thing for this team.
And we talked about, I think, Eddie, you brought it up, them getting off to a good start tonight. And you look at the first quarter, Celtics were up by 12 after the first quarter. And the biggest reason why was Kristaps Porzingis. He had 15 of his 25 points in the first quarter. And again, he had 11 boards in this one. But what did you think of him right from the jump?
I thought he was super aggressive. I thought that was the main thing. Like everything he did it with purpose. You know, there wasn't a hesitation on anything he was doing. If he set a screen, he rolled hard. If he set a screen and popped, he popped hard. If he got the ball, he made a quick decision. There was no thinking. It was just playing basketball and being aggressive on the offensive end. And I think that's part of the reason why is because we were playing good defense. 11 rebounds. I always say when guys get a large number of rebounds, that means they're engaged.
Man, he was living around the hoop, too, you know, especially in that first half. The tip dunks, the oop from Tatum after Tatum had the block at the other end. Like, Kristaps was just in the right spots. He was getting up and down. I just keep saying it, right? Like, if he's feeling this good, he feels like the X factor for this team when they're fully healthy, when they're fully engaged. When he's playing like this, they're really tough to beat. And even if Jokic had been out there, you know, now I'm yearning to see that matchup and see how he would have held up against an elite center like that. And yet, like, undeniably, Kristaps was the difference for this team in this game.
He was the difference, and he's also standing by with Abby Chin back at Ball Arena.
Kristaps, you started out that first quarter hot with 15 points. What is the mindset shift when you find out Jokic isn't playing, and what were you able to take advantage of?
I don't think the mindset shifted too much. I felt like we were going to come out ready to play no matter who was in or out because of our maybe last performance against OKC. So we were just a hungry team tonight, and we came out to play and took care of business.
I know you've been a little frustrated. Do you feel yourself kind of rounding into form?
Yes. Finally, step by step, getting there, and honestly starting to feel much better.
This Denver team obviously played very free, but you guys were able to come together in that fourth quarter to put together a 15-0 run. What keyed that?
Yeah, I thought their coach did a phenomenal job. Just, you know, they kept on playing good basketball, making shots. Everybody was playing free, as you said, and that's a tough team to figure out when their main guy is out. They play completely differently, but yeah, we had to overpower them. We had to win this game, win this one, and we did it.
Did you hear the "Let's Go Celtics" chants during that?
Of course. I love it. I'm surprised there's so many Celtics fans in Denver, to be honest. So it's a nice surprise.
The green travels well. As you said, you guys had to win this one. You got together as a team, you told us, before this trip, and really wanted to put an emphasis on these 4 games. How do you feel like you came out of it?
Give ourselves a 7.5 out of 10. Not ideal, but I think we're getting better as a team. Honestly, we are. I feel like we're going to turn the corner very soon and have a go on a nice run.
KP, thank you. Congrats.
Gabby, thanks.
Let's talk about both Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown. Let's start with Jaylen's game because, again, he really felt like he was distributing the ball, and he did a great job of that in the first half. I think he had at least 5 assists in the first half, and then the scoring picked up in the third quarter, Eddie. But just the way his game kind of evolved tonight.
Well, he was efficient, and he wasn't trying to force anything. He was 6 of 13 from the field. He took 1 3-point shot. So that means, guess what he was doing, guys? He was aggressive. And being aggressive in the way he was, he ended up only having 14 points. But that's not the big key. To me, the big key was the 8 rebounds and the 8 assists. That means he was doing it in other ways. He was affecting the game in different ways. It doesn't always necessarily have to be with your scoring. It could be your attacking, finding guys in the corner the way he just did that. And same thing right there, just in attack mode, finding Kayla. I liked how he played. He played downhill tonight. He didn't settle for any threes. The 8 assists shows me that he's seeing the game, and he's playing the game, and he's letting the game come to him.
The assists were great. I'm sure he was frustrated. He's got to be sitting there at halftime thinking, man, I haven't scored in 48 minutes worth of game time. Shutout at the end of that Oklahoma City game. Shutout here in the first half. And I think it was the first play or one of the first sequences of the third quarter. Came out and just was super aggressive going to the basket, sort of lit the fuse, and just really gave the team a boost in that second half when it was just trading baskets and trying to keep the Celtics in this thing. And this is what Jaylen does. Like I love the little ways he impacted it. Eddie nailed it, right? Like the assist. If he's giving out 8 assists and getting 8 rebounds on a night, Celtics will win in that game.
And the other guy, too, who started that break was Drew Holiday. And much has been made about when Drew Holiday gets at least 14 points. He got 19 tonight. I don't know what we're up to now as far as the stat goes. I'm sure Mark or Max will tell me here in a second. But I think
46 and 2.
Is it 46
maybe?
and 2 now? Maybe 47 and 2.
Yeah.
But Drew Holiday making all the right plays tonight, Eddie.
Yeah, he was, and he had a big 3. When they had that run, it was a close game. He had a big 3. I think kind of like from the left wing, walked right into it, knocked that shot down. But he had 7 assists. The ball was hopping around. Team-wise, we had 30 assists on 44 field goals. The ball was hopping around. We were getting stops. It looked like we were engaged. And then on top of that, he had 2 steals and he had 1 block. So all of the small things, again, it's not always about scoring, but we do need him to get 14 points or more because he just riddled off that record. I like that record a lot. Yeah, I love that record, by the way. So,
47 and 2.
Drew Holiday's a winner.
As cool as he looks in those Zenny commercials, he looked just as cool on the court tonight. He had it going. I like you can just tell when he's engaged and when he is just kind of, again, I keep using the turning it up a little bit thing where it just feels like he's giving the game a little bit extra. He's letting the plays come to him, the behind-the-back pass to Porzingis, flashing it up a little bit. He made every right decision while he was out there. 7 assists. I really like the way he played. Plus 10, that's a good night for Drew Holiday.
Eddie, I want to talk about the points in the paint because I remember at the very start of the season that has been, a high topic for you. But for them to tie, and I know Nikola Jokic was not involved here tonight, but for them to get 60 points in the paint, not bad.
No, not bad at all. You got to think about when KP came back. To me, that's where you kind of seen the shift in points in the paint. When he was out, we were getting dominated down there because we really didn't have somebody that we were going to constantly. We played a lot of 5 out, a couple guys in the dunker spots, or maybe Luke Cornett come in there and get some here and there. But KP took 18 shots. Only 3 of those 18 shots was from the 3-point line, which means he was living in the paint. And once he was getting the ball and getting that mismatch, he was making sure he was making guys pay, or he was going to the free throw line. So he's a big part of the reason why we have seen the shift in the points in the paint.
45 of their 88 shots in the paint tonight. I would assume that's above their average production in that zone in terms of at least attempts. Good to see them making so many shots. I do think it comes back to Porzingis was a huge help there at the start of the game, but guys were aggressive. Well, there was Jalen in the second half, Tatum routinely attacking. Guys were making sure they got to the rim and attacking this defense, and it just shows good things happen. Yeah, look, another night where the three wasn't as crisp as it has been for much of the year, 12 of 35. Celtics had to find a way to generate points more consistently, and they were just relentless going to that basket. Something that they need to keep in mind when that shot isn't falling over the course of the season.
And one thing that I loved about the Celtics in this one is when those shots didn't fall from behind the three, they were able to get to the line. 18 of 20 free throw attempts is what they finished out with here today, 90% from the line. And I also liked Eddie, JB not having to he took, 1-3, as you mentioned earlier, and he didn't even make the three, but it didn't matter. He was dishing out dimes, getting other guys involved, and that's just really nice to see when the game just comes to you. You don't have to have a crazy, ridiculous three-point shooting game, and yet you can get other guys involved.
Yeah, that's important if you're a leader of the team, because think about it. He had, I think Giles said it, or maybe it was you, Forsberg, said that he had 48 minutes of scoreless basketball, right? And so he has every opportunity to come out. He got a max deal to come out and just jack up shots and say, hey, man, I got to go get my attempts. He doesn't do that. He attacks and I think it's hand in hand. It goes hand in hand, though. Defense, the way we play defense, aggressiveness defensively, locked in defensively, connected defensively, then you're connected offensively, then you're more aggressive offensively as well. I thought it started with our defense, but with what Jaylen Brown did, I mean, he has every opportunity to just go out there and shoot as many shots as he wants, but he allowed the game to come to him. And then also, he's seen other guys had it going, so why not feed them? So I just think that's another step in his game as well, where a lot of people don't talk about that part of his game. You know, they were talking about his left hand and all this stuff. He's worked on all of that, so really good.
All right, up next, another really intriguing game. The Celtics are going to host the Sacramento Kings on Friday night. Our pregame show will originate from the Garden. We got Celtics post up from the Garden afterwards. It's going to be a fun night, especially because I haven't been over to the Garden now since like early December. It feels like we desperately been needing a game to get over there. That's been worth checking out. But the Kings are rolling, 5-1 since new head coach. You know, look, I certainly balked when they fired Mike Brown. I'm still not ready to say it was like the right move, but I get it. You know, something had to change. They were really in a bad spot. You know, I think the coaches too often get the blame for that, and it felt like a little short-sighted. And yet, undeniably, they found a little something now. We'll see if that, you know, if we could hit the fast-forward button and see 2 months from now if they're still finding the right energy from a new coach. We'll see. But for the Celtics, at least, they've got to be ready to meet that challenge with a team that's rolling, that's going to be coming in on. They played Monday night, so they'll be pretty much on 4 days rest, despite coming across the country. And so, yeah, another little challenge. And then Sunday, the Celtics play the Pelicans for the first time this year. And Zion is back, had a ridiculous dunk in the game tonight. So the Western Conference challenges keep coming for this team, and the Celtics got to stay locked in. Like I said, they got to take advantage of home with this little burst because you're going right back out west. And, you know, like the Magic are in this stretch. Paolo's been teasing that he might be back sooner than later. You got the Raptors in the middle of the week, too. So a couple interesting games coming up along the way. As usual, we'll be here with you. A couple days off here. Maybe we'll try to sneak in a pod along the way as well. But most importantly, Celtics need to get their rest after being out west, get everybody feeling better. Derek White and Jordan Walsh missing tonight's game with the non-COVID illness. Get everybody feeling good and ready to go because, again, got to see that top 9 healthy for a rare change. So go like, go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page. Anyone that stayed up super late to get this pod is a psycho, and we really appreciate you. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.